Hey everyone, welcome back to Potted Plant Entertainment. My name is Chris, and today I am going to be reviewing my favorite movie of all time, Lethal Weapon. Now, in case you don't know, I review a movie and I rank it on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Lethal Weapon starred Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Mitchell Ryan, and Tom Atkins. It was directed by Richard Donner, and it was produced by Richard Donner and Joel Silver. It tells the story of Martin Riggs, Mel Gibson, whose wife died earlier in the year in a car accident, and he's a police officer, and he's trying to rebuild his life after it, but he can't get over it, and he's on the verge of suicide. And it also tells a tale of Roger Murtaugh, who's an easygoing family man who's also a police officer, and his Vietnam buddy's daughter jumps out of a window to her death. And the two of them get paired up together on the case. And they have to sort of overcome their differences, and they have to solve the case. It's an action-packed film. It's really, really good. It's easily one of the greatest action movies ever made. My pros with it would be that the chemistry between Mel Gibson and Danny Glover is some of the best chemistry ever seen between two actors ever. They play off of each other so well in this movie. Not just this one, but the sequels as well. There's 3 sequels to this. They play off of each other so well. You can tell that they're good friends in real life. It sort of reminds me of Hobbs and Shaw. When you watch that movie, even though Hobbs and Shaw, they hate each other, you can tell that Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson are really good friends. Like, the love for those two sort of seeps through their acting, and it's the same thing here. Their chemistry is very, very good. The action is great. Like I said, it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. You can see everything. It's wide angles, you know. And the story is really interesting. It's really a thinking man's thriller. It's a really, really fascinating story about drugs and crime and love. It's a great, great story. The music is really good too. When the music starts playing during the action sequences, you get hyped for it. It's like, yes, this is it. It's really great. Honeymoon Suite, which was a rock band back in the 70s and 80s, they did a song for this movie that they played in the credits that I think is a really underrated song. If you haven't listened to it, look it up. It's called Lethal Weapon by Honeymoon Suites. Listen to it on YouTube. It's a really great song. There's also good humor in this movie. Because the two of them don't exactly get along super well, it makes for some really great humor. The acting is so great. It's so great. It was so well casted. There's a scene in this movie where Mel Gibson's character, Martin Riggs, is contemplating shooting himself. And it's a really dark and suspenseful scene, but Mel Gibson he played it beautifully. It was totally believable, and it's one of my favorite pieces of acting. The characters are all great and interesting and unique, and, you know, they're fun to watch. It's got great villains in it, and there's a fight scene between Mel Gibson and Gary Busey at the end of this movie, which is one of my all-time favorite fight scenes. And this is easily the greatest buddy cop movie of all time. It really is. This is the greatest buddy cop movie of all time. There have been great ones like Rush Hour and 48 Hours and Men in Black, but Lethal Weapon for sure takes the cake in the buddy cop genre. This is the greatest buddy cop movie of all time, and it is one of the greatest action movies of all time. As a matter of fact, this was one of Roger Ebert's favorite movies. The greatest film critic of all time. This was one of his favorite films, and it's definitely my all-time favorite movie. It's not like groundbreaking in any way like Die Hard was, which actually came later, but it's just so great in every other aspect. If I had a higher grade than a 100, this movie would for sure get it, but I don't, so I'm going to give Lethal Weapon a 100. If you like this and you want to see more, subscribe to Potted Plant Entertainment, and love.